So in today's video, I wanted to talk about carbon, but not this carbon. I actually wanted to talk about this carbon. And we're going to be discussing what this is, where it comes from, and if it's actually beneficial to use it in your aquarium. So what's going on, guys? Justin from H2O Plants, and yes, we're down in the basement, so I just want to apologize. The audio is going to be a little bit different just because there's a lot of noise down here, all the filters, everything going, so you're going to hear some buzzing maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but let's get into why we're talking about carbon today. And I kind of want to go back a couple of weeks. Now, we attended Reefapalooza here in New York in June. It was last week of June, and it was a nice event. I wouldn't say it was as good as last year, the year before that, but it was all right. So what had happened though is our booth was actually booked directly next to kind of somebody that I met a couple years back at the Aquatic Experience in Chicago. His name was Brian Covey. And he is, I don't know if he has a degree in a certain type of science, but he's a rather smart individual, and he has this new product that he was showcasing at the Reefapalooza, and he actually showcased it earlier in the year at Aquachar, I believe. So it's been out for a couple months now, and from what I've been seeing is it's been getting a lot of good reviews, and people are kind of raving about it. And as he was kind of demonstrating it at the show, I was very impressed by its capabilities. He seemed to be very knowledgeable about the product, and I figured let's put it through its tests. Now, I will just say up front, this is going to be a kind of first look at the product. We're going to be going and using this by the end of the video. I'm going to be tossing it in one of our tanks, and then we'll see over the next month or two what effects does that have on the aquarium, and then we'll be able to kind of see what, you know, if it's beneficial. So I just want to tell everybody, like, this isn't a full endorsement of the product yet. I want to see it and actually test it for myself, but I figured I'd showcase it for you guys. I'd also let you know that we do actually have some. And because he's not from New York, he actually had a lot of leftover product that was left at the show, and he asked me if I wanted it. He gave it to me at a really good price to be able to pick some of it up, and I figured, hey, I don't probably need this much, but if I'm going to do a video on it, at least I can showcase it to you guys. I'll also leave a coupon code on the screen and in the description if you choose to pick some up from the website now as kind of a first-time buyer to test it out for yourself, and you could see what it is. But this tiny piece of charcoal or carbon is called Aquachar. That's the name of his company. So what this is actually real wood that, from how he explains it, is they bring this up to a certain 1,000-degree temperature. He won't tell me specifics, but obviously that's kind of a trade secret. But basically they bring this up to such a high heat point that it doesn't kind of burn, like it burns, but it doesn't turn to ash. That's kind of what it is. And by doing so, from the way he explains it, is it turns it into essentially, the way it kind of resembles in my mind is fossilized wood in a way, because it has all the same structures as the wood, except it's just the, you know, the shell of the wood. So what I mean by that is if you ever took like a group of straws and you put them all together, that kind of resembles what a tree's wood structure looks like on the inside, because it has all these veins that brings water and nutrients up to the leaves. And so what happens is when you keep that structure intact in this piece of charcoal here, it actually keeps all those kind of veins going. And what that is extremely good for is colonizing bacteria. It's also good for helping to trap detritus and stuff in this. So I believe my tests after the next month or two are going to prove to be really good. But that's kind of what they do with this. That's why it's so much different now. I have regular charcoal activated carbon, I should say, that you would normally get in most filter setups and, you know, whatnot. And this is just a rod, right? It's a very smooth rod. And what I'm going to do is actually up on the screen, I'm going to try and get close-ups of both these guys. Now, the rod is extremely smooth, and while it does show some porosity, the porosity to it is only kind of surface deep. And I actually asked Brian about this, and I've done a bit more research on it, and this activated carbon, let's call it, activated carbon, is essentially material that is dipped in phosphoric acid, I believe it is, or some sort of acid that kind of etches holes into it. It kind of eats away at it, and it creates that porous kind of texture to it. However, this is a very, very smooth on the outside. If you look at it, it's not that porous. Where if you look at this Aquachar, It is extremely porous. You can see all of it. And actually, on the screen right now, I'm gonna try and showcase, there's a podcast actually on JH Aquatics YouTube channel. I'll link that down below as well. He did an interview with Brian actually a couple months back when he first saw the product. And JH Aquatics actually has a microscope, and he put both of these under a microscope and was able to showcase the difference in kind of straight up magnified abilities, or a magnified profile. So I'm going to showcase both those. Of course, credit goes to him. If you want to check out the live stream, and it's going to explain this way more in depth, go check out his live stream. But essentially, you just don't have the same pores that the Aquachar has as opposed to the activated carbon. So the activated carbon is kind of lackluster in that aspect. If you have something that you want to help, filter the water, help purify the water, this is turning out to be a much better product just from the way it looks, just by far. Now, the really big thing that sold me on this, and this is kind of the big factor to this is actually a pH buffer. And when I saw this in person, I was blown away. So I'm going to demonstrate kind of what I saw on scene there. I have some water from the goldfish tank where I'm going to be testing this Aquachar in. Right, I pulled this out just now. We're going to do a demonstration of what it is as far as the pH level. So I got a pH test solution here. I'm going to put, it says 3 drops. So we're going to put 3 drops in. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we got 3 drops in here. Now, I haven't done anything special to this water. I took it literally out of the goldfish tank just right before filming this. And we're going to give it a nice little shake. Okay, so that's looking a light blue. So I have the, where is it? That's saltwater, freshwater. Here we go. So, for the pH, light blue, we are looking at, so this is a, I would say that's probably a 7.6. If I had to guess, that's about a 7.6. Now, this isn't going to show anything according to what I've seen Brian do, because it would have to be a slightly more acidic or a slightly more basic water. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this piece of charcoal in here anyway. Let's see. Right, and then we're going to give this a shake, and let's see if it changes color. Oh, actually it did. Wow, that got really blue. So maybe that wasn't a 7.6, because this is way more blue. Just to be able to compare, I actually have another sample of the water because I want to be able to demonstrate this. I wasn't expecting it to change that much, but that's a really significant difference there. So let's just 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I wish I tested this beforehand, then I would have a better idea of this, but I wanted to really just do my first live reaction. So we're gonna shake both of these guys up. Okay, so that is, I mean, I don't know how well it's going to show. Let's see. Do I have a piece of white paper? I do have a piece of white paper. Maybe this. It may not show well on camera, but the one with the Aquachar in, actually, yeah, you could see it, is significantly more blue. Look at that. Look at how much darker that is. So, why is that amazing? Well, for the countless amount of people that always are messaging me, help, my pH, I can't keep it stable, or I just want to keep my pH stable. Maybe I'm having issues because I run CO2, or maybe I have a saltwater tank, because you can actually use Aquachar in a saltwater tank. It's actually almost more beneficial for a saltwater aquarium than freshwater, just because of the fact that it keeps your pH stable. This buffers the pH. So what it does is, you put in, whatever amount is recommended for your tank. So normally it's a cup per 40 gallons. So you put a cup of this in your filter, and then it helps buffer your water. And this is amazing because if you have, let's just say you're running a low-tech basic planted tank with no CO2. So what happens at night is the aquarium plants give off CO2. They absorb oxygen during the day, part of photosynthesis, but they give off CO2. And same thing with your fish. Your fish are obviously breathing during the night, and when your lights are off, your plants aren't absorbing that. Now, if you add this in, what happens is CO2, when CO2 is emitted into the water, so from the respiratory respiratory functions of the fish, or the plant's just excreting it throughout the night cycle, the water becomes acidified. And that will actually lower the pH. And why does that suck? Well, if you have a sensitive fish, much like discus, any sensitive fish, scaleless fish, anything that's sensitive to pH swings, this is going to enable it to not be as large as pH swings. Now, you may still have some pH swings here or there, but if the theory is correct with this and it does buffer the pH, you're going to see very minimal pH swings from what I'm showing here. Now, the other thing, minimal pH swings is actually going to be beneficial for the plants as well, because the less your plant's water parameters change, the better they're going to do. If you have huge pH swings during nighttime and daytime cycles, that's going to affect the plants. They don't like that. They want to keep a more steady kind of, pH balance. So if you have something that swings, I would say, more than a couple points at night, then this is a real good idea to put in your aquarium. Now, I know a lot of people are going to comment, why would you have charcoal in your aquarium if you're, fertilizing? Doesn't it pull out? Now, I am kind of on the fence on either side of that, because a lot of people say, oh, it will pull out fertilizer, but I've talked to a lot of experts and they strongly disagree with that. And I'm going to probably err on the side of the experts here, is that, I mean, I may have even said it in the past. As a matter of fact, I think I did, that charcoal will pull out the fertilizer. But since then, many of the experts have said that, that's just really not true. And I kind of have to believe them, because they've been in a very long time and they know way more about it than I do. I mean, these are people with 10 years plus experience. I've only been in it about 5, so I'm going to trust what they've experienced before. So that's the pH side of things. You also have the fact that these are so porous, they can harbor nitrifying bacteria. They can kind of almost like polish your water, because there's so many different sized holes in these little pieces of charcoal that they're actually going to absorb mulm and small little particles floating in your water as they pass through your filter. So this is going to be an excellent product because of that. Also, because the mulm is attracted to this product, it is going to kind of sit there for bacteria to munch on and really harbor good nitrifying bacteria. On top of all of that, this is negatively charged, the Aquachar. So the Aquachar, what it does is that since it's negatively charged, much like a magnet, anything that's positively charged in your aquarium that's floating around that passes by it is going to be sucked into it kind of magnetically, because most organic particles, according to Brian, are positively charged. Now, listen, I'm not an expert on this. I'm going based on what he said, and you know what? He knows way more about it than I do, so I'm going to kind of test this method and see what happens with it myself. But, I mean, hey, let's take his word for it right now. Now, what we're going to do with this is we're going to throw a big old bag here of it into the goldfish tank, and we're going to see what happens over the next month. My idea for this is that it's going to kind of affect the pH. It's going to keep it more at this higher pH level here, which for goldfish is actually a better thing. They don't like really acidic water. So this water is probably somewhere between 7.2 and 7.6. This is probably about 7.6 to 8. It's hard to exactly tell without like a definite pH meter, which I don't have. But I mean, we did see the significant difference in color here, and that is a clear indication that it's definitely going to affect. What I want to do is I'm going to take us over to the aquarium, gonna get a kind of clear picture of what the aquarium looks like now, and we'll see what it looks like in a couple months. So let's head on over there. So now here we have Lucky's tank, the goldfish. If you want to check out the video of the initial setup, I'll link it down below and also up on the iCard. You can check it out. Now things have been growing in, it's been doing really nice, but you could see lots of particulate matter floating in the water. Now, I will be honest, I don't do a lot of filter cleaning on this aquarium, nor do I do a lot of water changes. It's kind of top off, and we leave it how it is. But, there are some particulates floating in the water here, and I wouldn't say it's as crystal clear as I'd like it to be. So what we're going to do is I'm not going to touch the filter at all, other than dropping in the carbon, and we're just going to simply see if that has any effect on the aquarium at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect it, we'll throw it in the filter, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so let's see. Now there is just an empty slot right here, so I'm literally just going to toss this right in here. Now this is probably double than what the system needs, because, and it wants to float. It's very buoyant. I have to say, it's like a lightweight material, so this wants to float. I'm going to kind of wedge it under the strap here. And it is making this, I should have washed this beforehand, but it's not such a big deal. Brian says you don't necessarily need to wash it, but I would recommend washing it. There's a lot of fine particulates on it, so if you want to kind of clean it up a bit so you don't have a huge huge mess afterwards. Me, I don't care. The particulates will eventually filter out or settle. Oh, and gonna have to get the mop in here. Should have drained it a bit, but it's alright. We'll go and grab the mop after this. Alright, we're gonna need some paper towels and stuff. Hold on one second. This is why we have a mop. Alright, so I'm gonna put this guy back on here. Tighten that down. Let's move this guy out of the way. Moral of this story, drain a little water off the filter beforehand. Alright, so here's what the aquarium looks like now. Let's turn back on the filter here. Alright, and obviously now it's very cloudy because all that gunk that was in the filter is getting kicked up and sent around, but we'll see. We're going to give this a couple weeks to do its thing, and we'll kind of see what it's like after the fact. So that's all I got on this carbon for now. Like I said, it is an early kind of review, I guess, like showcase of this product. We will see what the full review will entail in about a month's time. If you want to be sure to check that out, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Now I will say, like I said, there's a coupon code. I'll link it in the description and also put it on the screen for this product on our website. If you want to head on over to our website, h2oplants.com, support this video by ordering yourself some of this. There will be a hefty discount to actually get yourself some of this and try it out. Now, one thing to note, we are not selling it with these mesh bags. So if you don't have a mesh bag, I'll also link down below to an Amazon link where you can pick some up, because we don't sell these bags. Usually everybody has these. I mean, if you've ever gotten a filter, you'll most likely have some sort of mesh, or just use pantyhose or some sort of like mesh. Also, you could use like kitchen scrubbies. Get some kitchen scrubbies, unwind them, and just tie them off with rubber bands. That also works. And yeah, so make sure you wash it beforehand. We're going to sell it by the cup, by the volume of cup. So this right here is 2 cups in this, roughly, about 2 cups. And 1 cup per 40 gallons of Aquachar is needed. So, you know, do what you like with it. Like I said, early review if you want to hold off until we do. But that's about it. Leave me a comment down below what you think of Aquachar. If it seems like it's going to be a really good product. If you have experience with it, maybe you've already gotten some, leave your comments and or reviews down below. With that said, guys, that's all I got. And if you enjoyed the video or are interested in this product, hit that like button, leave me a comment down below. Like I said, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our future review. And if you want to check out some of our latest videos, you can click either one of those, and I will see you guys next time.